The blade that shouldn't exist in a quiet corner of the galaxy, far from the noise of war and trade. There was a small desert planet named Velron. The winds there never stopped, and the sand carried whispers. Most people avoided the place. They said it was cursed, but one man lived there by choice. His name was Jaren. He wasn't a soldier anymore. He wasn't even a citizen of any system. No family, no friends, and no past. Just a forge built into the side of a rocky hill, glowing day and night with fire and sparks. Jaren was a weaponsmith, but not like others. He didn't build for money. He didn't sell to pirates or empires. He built because something deep inside him told him to. He worked alone, always silent. His arms were strong, his eyes tired, and his face covered in soot. Each strike of his hammer echoed like thunder in the caves below. People said he was mad. Others said he was hiding something, but no one really knew. One night, under the light of 3 moons, Jaren finished something no one had seen in centuries. A blade forged not from steel, but from a fallen star. It shimmered with a dark blue glow, alive in his hands. The handle was wrapped in beast hide. Strange symbols were carved along the edge. Symbols no human should understand. But Jaren knew them. He had seen them in dreams again and again since the day his warship crashed 10 years ago. This wasn't just a weapon. It was something else. Something that should not exist. As he set the blade on a stone table, a sudden wind blew through the forge. It wasn't natural. Jaren stood still. The air became heavy and a voice calm and cold spoke from the darkness outside. "You finally made it." Jaren turned fast, hand on the blade. A figure stepped into the firelight. Tall, cloaked, with silver skin and glowing eyes. "Who are you?" Jaren asked. "I'm a messenger," the alien said. "And now that you've made the blade, they will come." "Who?" "The Bloodborne, and their daughter." The alien disappeared before Jaren could ask more. Only ashes remained where it stood. The next morning, rumors began spreading across the galaxy. A trader on a nearby moon said he saw light shooting from Velron into space. A pirate ship picked up strange signals from the planet's surface. Soon, the whispers became louder. A human has forged the blade of power. The galaxy's most feared weapon has returned. And the warlord's daughter, she is coming for him. Far away on a world of ice and fire sat the bloodborne warlord, Karath the Conqueror. His throne was made from the bones of fallen kings, and in front of him knelt his daughter, Velara, tall, strong, and cold as space. Itself, Velara had trained since childhood to be a warrior. She had never lost a battle, never shown mercy. Her father pointed toward a glowing screen that showed the desert planet. "The blade," he said. "The human made it." Velara's eyes narrowed. "It belongs to our line." "No," Karath growled. "He stole it from fate. Go, challenge him, and bring it back, or don't return at all." Without a word, Velara stood, turned, and walked toward her warship. Back on Velron, Jaren felt something shift in the air. He stood on the edge of a cliff, the blade strapped to his back. He didn't know who was coming, but he felt it in his bones. Something ancient had awakened. He looked up at the stars, and for the first time in years, fear touched his heart. Not fear of death, fear of what he had built, because deep down he knew this blade wasn't just metal and magic. It was a signal, a call to war, and someone had answered. The warlord's daughter lands 3 days passed since the blade was completed. The forge on Velron had gone quiet. Jaren stopped working. He only watched the sky now. Every night he stood on the roof of his forge, eyes locked on the stars. He knew someone was coming. He could feel it in his blood. The wind carried a new scent, cold, sharp, and wrong, the kind of scent that came before a storm. Then it happened. At dawn, the ground trembled, animals fled, birds screamed, the sky turned. A deep red as a warship tore through the clouds. It wasn't just any ship. Its shape was unlike anything on record. Sleek, sharp-edged, with burning engines that didn't hum. They howled. The ship didn't land quietly. It crashed like a meteor into the desert, throwing dust into the air and shaking the hills for miles. Jaren didn't flinch. He walked out of his forge, blade strapped across his back, boots digging into the sand. He didn't bring armor, didn't bring food or water. He didn't need them. This was not survival. This was fate. As the dust began to settle, he saw the warship's main door open. First came the silence. Then came the heat. And then she stepped out, Velara. She was over 7 feet tall, armored in black plates that shimmered like liquid night. Her face was bare, fierce, sharp, and calm. Her eyes, a violent silver, locked on Jaren like a predator seeing prey. She didn't blink. She didn't speak, and in her right hand she held a spear made of dark crystal, humming with energy so dense the air around it vibrated. Behind her, alien soldiers waited. Not one dared to follow her down the ramp. This was her fight alone. She walked across the sand without making a sound. Jaren stood his ground. When she finally stopped a few feet away, the wind died. "I am Velara, daughter of Karath," she said, her voice deep and steady. "You forged the blade. You are not worthy of it." Jaren didn't move. "You think I built it for pride?" She didn't answer. Instead, she stabbed, the spear into the ground between them. The force cracked the earth and sent out a shockwave. "This is a challenge," she said. "One warrior to another. You will fight me. When I win, the blade returns to my bloodline. And if you lose?" Jaren asked quietly. Her lip curled. "I don't lose." She turned and walked away. "You have 1 cycle of this moon to prepare." The challenge was made. The war had begun. That night, Velron didn't sleep. Jaren returned to his forge, but he didn't light the fires. Instead, he sat in the dark, holding the blade across his knees. The metal was cold now. Too cold. It pulsed like a living thing. He whispered, almost without meaning to, "What are you?" And the blade responded. Visions flickered in his mind, memories he didn't know. A battlefield long forgotten, alien warriors kneeling, a human general holding this very blade, shouting words in a language lost to time. Then, betrayal, blood, fire. The blade was sealed in a vault of stars, never to be touched again, until Jaren found the meteorite, until he forged what was meant to stay buried. Outside the forge, something moved. At first, Jaren thought it was wind, but no. Something or someone was watching him. He rose slowly, blade in hand, and stepped outside. The desert was silent. Too silent. Then, without warning, a dart shot past his face and struck the wall behind him. He turned fast and slashed into the air. A figure appeared, small, quick, dressed in shadows. An alien spy. Jaren fought without speaking. The blade moved like it had a mind of its own. Every block, every counter, was perfect. The spy never stood a chance. In seconds, it fell, lifeless, into the sand. Jaren bent down and turned the spy's face. It wasn't just a scout, it was a member of Velara's personal guard. She had sent someone to test him, or to kill him early. "She's afraid," Jaren whispered. "She hides it well, but she knows." He looked toward the ship, in the distance glowing like a dark sun on the horizon. "She knows what this blade can do." Across the desert, Velara stood inside her ship, watching the forge from a distance. Her guard captain entered behind her. "You lost one of your shadows," he said. "I expected that," she replied. "He is not just a smith." "Do you fear the blade?" "No," she said. "But I fear what it remembers." She opened a sealed case beside her. Inside was an old map, one that showed ancient human ruins marked with her family's crest. "Long ago, our blood and theirs were joined," she said. "Then, broken." She touched her chest. "This duel is not about the weapon, it's about the truth." "And if he survives?" the captain asked. "What will you do?" Velara's eyes narrowed. I will decide if he deserves to live. The trial of fire and metal. The moons of Velron had begun their slow rise, casting pale light over the silent desert. The forge lay quiet. But beneath the ground, hidden from view, fire still lived. Jaren had gone below. Not many knew the truth. His forge was only the surface. Beneath it he had carved tunnels, years ago when nightmares kept him awake and silence felt like death. Deep underground where the desert heat turned the air heavy, his real work had begun. Now he was back in that place. The blade lay on a stone slab. Beside it were shards of strange metal, remnants from an alien wreck he had once found buried in the sands. They pulsed with a soft blue light, humming like they were whispering in a voice only he could hear. He didn't sleep. He didn't speak. He worked. Hammer to metal, sparks to stone, sweat dripping onto glowing steel. His arms moved like machines, not fast but precise, controlled, focused. This wasn't forging a weapon. This was preparing a message, and that message would be written in fire and blood. Above the ground, far from the forge, Velara stood at the edge of a canyon. She was not meditating, she never did, she was remembering. Long ago, before the wars, her people had lived side by side with humans. They trained together, fought together, and betrayed each other. Her father told her that humans stole power they didn't deserve, that they ran from the final war, that they vanished like cowards into the stars. But Velara had always felt something missing from that story. Now she had found the missing piece, the blade, and the man who made it. He didn't look like a warrior. He looked broken, quiet. But the way he stood, the way he watched her without blinking, it was not fear, it was not pride. It was something older, something dangerous. She whispered into the air, "You're not what I expected, human." Behind her captain waited. "Shall we strike first, my lady?" She shook her head. "No, the forge is his sanctuary. To break it would dishonor the challenge." "But you don't believe in honor," the captain said. "No," she answered, "but he does." Back below, Jaren finished his final strike. The blade now had something no other weapon in the galaxy held, a hidden core. A secret chamber built into the spine of the sword, filled with a glowing substance that didn't exist on any charted world. He didn't know what it was called, but when he touched it, it sang in his blood. This blade wasn't just forged, it was alive. Jaren stared at it for a long time. He could see his reflection in the metal, older, sharper, a man he barely recognized. Then, something strange happened. The blade began to pulse. Blue light crawled through the runes along its edge. The air grew cold, and Jaren heard a voice. "You are the last. Do not fail us." He stepped back, heart pounding. "Who are you?" he asked. No answer came. Just the whisper of fire and the hum of old power. That night, Jaren returned to the surface. He stood in the open beneath the moons, holding the reforged blade in his hand. He wasn't hiding anymore. The desert wind blew hard, carrying the scent of metal and dust. Then she came. Velara appeared without warning, walking across the sands like a ghost. This time she didn't wear her armor, just a dark cloak and a silver band around her wrist. She didn't speak. She walked right up to him and stared at the blade. "So," she said, "you changed it." "Yes." "What did you put inside it?" He met her eyes. "Everything." She said nothing for a while, then softly, "You know this isn't about a duel anymore, don't you?" "I never thought it was," he said. She turned and walked a few steps away. "There are forces watching us now, more than you know. My father, the war councils, the bloodborne clans. They want that blade destroyed." "Then why did he send you instead of a fleet?" "Because I asked him to." Jaren blinked. "Why?" She looked at him, really looked at him. "Because I wanted to see if you were truly human, or something else." In the distance, a starship flew across the sky, casting shadows over the dunes. Time was running out. "You still want to fight?" Jaren asked. Velara's answer was quick. "Yes." "Then tomorrow, at dawn." She nodded. "But no tricks," Jaren added. "No bombs, no poison, just you and me." Her voice was quiet. "You have my word." And with that, she turned and vanished into the darkness. That night, as Jaren sharpened the final edge of the blade, he looked out at the stars. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring. Maybe death, maybe truth, maybe both. But one thing was certain. The warlord's daughter had come, and she wasn't the only one watching. Far above the planet, hidden in the void of space, several ships activated their cloaking fields. Inside them sat leaders of alien empires, eyes fixed on Velron, waiting. The duel of honor was about to become the spark of a new galactic war. The arena beneath the stars. The desert winds calmed before sunrise. Even the wild creatures of Velron fell silent, as if the planet itself knew what was coming. It was the morning of the duel, and the stars were watching. High above, hidden behind cloaking fields, dozens of warships floated in silent orbit. They didn't fire, they didn't speak, they observed. Leaders of rival alien empires, silent witnesses to what they all feared. A human with a god-forged blade, and the daughter of a warlord with royal blood in her veins. If either of them died today, the galaxy would feel the quake. Down on Velron, an arena had formed, not by design but by instinct. A massive natural crater, wide and deep, shaped like a bowl of rock and sand, now held the focus of the galaxy. No stage was needed, no throne. Just space, silence, and two warriors destined to collide. Jaren stood on one side. His clothes were simple. No armor, no helmet. Just cloth, boots, and the blade that now pulsed softly with light. He breathed slowly, calmly, his fingers wrapped around the hilt. The metal was warm, like it knew what was coming. Opposite him stood Velara. She wore ceremonial armor, a blend of silver plates and black crystal grown from her people's sacred mines. Her face was uncovered. Her eyes were sharp, focused, cold but curious. She had no fear, but something inside her stirred. Respect. This man, this quiet, fire-handed smith, was not what her father told her he would be, and that made him dangerous. A voice echoed across the canyon. It came from the sky, broadcast from one of the orbiting ships. "The duel begins now. No interference, no mercy, fight until surrenders or death." The voice faded, silence returned, and then it began. Velara moved first, fast like lightning. Her spear spun in the air and struck toward Jaren's chest, but he stepped aside, the blade flashing like moonlight. Clang! The first strike rang out across the crater. Sparks flew, dust rose. Jaren spun low, blocking with the flat of his sword. Velara followed with a second thrust, then a third. Her movements were not wild. They were perfect. She was trained to kill without emotion. But Jaren's blade, it moved like it was alive. Not flashy, not quick, but precise. When her spear came, for his side he turned and knocked it away with a single measured strike. When she leapt high, blade overhead, he ducked calmly and cut the sand behind her. He wasn't fighting to win. He was testing, feeling, remembering. The fight stretched on for minutes that felt like hours. Each clash sent a ripple through the watching ships. The warlords watching from above shifted in their seats. This was no simple battle. It was a dance, a story, a message, and it was being written in real time. Below, Jaren's breathing grew deeper, not from exhaustion, but from focus. The blade began to glow brighter with each second. It pulsed with heat, then color, then something more. Sound, not loud, but low and deep, like a song coming from ancient memory. Velara heard it too. Her eyes widened. "What have you done to that sword?" she growled. Jaren didn't answer. The Blade answered for him. When it struck her spear again, the crystal cracked. Just a thin line, but enough to make her pause. Then the blade flared blue and something strange happened. She saw something. In the flash of light, a vision burned through her mind. Warriors kneeling before a human general. A shared crown. A promise made under twin moons. She stumbled back, shaking her head. What was that? Jaren stopped, lowered his weapon. You saw it too, he said quietly. That was impossible. That was our history, but humans were not there. He stepped forward. We were. Far above, in the main bloodborne flagship, Karath slammed his fist into the control panel. End this, he ordered his captain. Now. But, my lord, the duel is sacred. If we interfere, she's seen the truth, Karath roared. That sword is a relic of the old oath. It carries the memory of the union we erased. If the clans see this, they will know I lied. Our rule will fall. His order was clear. Fire on the arena. Back on the surface, the sky suddenly lit up. A sharp sound, a shriek of energy. Jaren looked up and saw it. A plasma missile falling straight toward them. Velara's face twisted in shock. No, he wouldn't. He would, Jaren said, grabbing her arm. Run. No. We finish this. Jaren turned to her. Not here, not like this. Together they leapt from the center of the crater. Just as the blast struck, the arena erupted in flame, rock shattered. Fire rained from the sky. Ships across the galaxy gasped. The duel had been broken. The sacred rule had been broken. And now, war was coming. Beneath the burning crater, deep in the tunnels of the forge, Jaren and Velara landed hard, smoke behind them. She looked at him with wide eyes, breathing heavy. You saved me. You're not the enemy, Jaren said. Her voice was shaking now, not from fear but from truth. Then who is? He turned, blade still glowing in his hand. The one who sent you here to die. The truth in blood smoke still rose from the crater. The blast from Warlord Karath's ship had turned the arena into molten glass. The sacred duel was over, ended by betrayal. But deep below the surface, where rock turned to black stone and forgotten tunnels snaked like veins under Velron, two warriors were still alive. Jaren and Velara stood in silence inside a hidden chamber lit only by the glow of the blade. The weapon had protected them. When the plasma hit, the blade's light had flared into a shield, wrapping them in blue fire. The rock shattered around them, but they were pulled into the tunnels by the weapon's pulse, as if it knew where to take them. Jaren didn't ask questions anymore. He had stopped asking the day the blade spoke to him in his dreams. Now he only listened. Velara paced the room, shaken, not from the explosion, but from what she had seen in the fight. Visions, memories that weren't hers, but felt real. A great hall carved from stone and light, a human general and an alien queen standing side by side, a blade placed between them, glowing like the sun, a promise carved in blood. She looked at Jaren. That was not a trick, was it? No, he said. I think the blade remembers. She walked toward him, slow and cautious. My father told me humans ran from the old war, that you were cowards, that you tried to steal power from the bloodborne empire. He lied. Why? Jaren stared into the blade. Its runes shifted again, showing shapes neither of them understood. Because the truth would break everything he built. Far above Velron, inside Karath's warship, alarms blared. His advisors shouted. His commanders warned him. But the warlord heard nothing. He stood alone before a screen, watching the aftermath of the blast. The crater still burned, but no bodies were found. His daughter was still alive, and the blade had not been destroyed, he snarled. The sword has chosen him. His voice trembled with rage. It remembers the pact. It remembers the bloodline. The truth is leaking out. An advisor stepped forward. Shall we send ground troops? Karath turned slowly. No. If I destroy, Them now the clans will question me. The old laws still bind their loyalty. I must silence them another way. His eyes glowed with hate. We will make him look like the villain. Back below, Jaren and Velara walked deeper into the ancient tunnels. They passed ruins long buried, walls covered in carvings, blending both alien and human symbols, pillars shaped like hands reaching upward, broken machinery fused with organic, crystal. It was a forgotten city, and it was not built by either of their people alone. They entered a central hall. In the middle stood a stone altar, cracked but still glowing faintly with light. Jaren placed the blade on it. The entire room lit up. Rings of energy circled the altar. Images formed in the air, flickering like faded memories. One showed a human and bloodborne kneeling together before a flame. Another showed a child born with marks from both species. Velara gasped. Is this our shared history? Jaren looked at her. They wanted peace. They made a blood pact. The blade was the symbol. But then someone betrayed them. She stepped closer to the projection. The final image showed war, cities burning, the blade sealed in a vault of stars, and a voice echoed through the chamber. The pact was broken by the hand of Karath. Velara's face went pale. My father, Jaren's voice was calm. He erased the truth, blamed humans, built an empire on lies. Suddenly, the blade on the altar pulsed again, and Velara fell to her knees, crying out in pain. Marks lit up across her skin, faint glowing lines on her arms, and just ancient script, matching the ones on the blade. She clutched her side. What's happening to me? Jaren knelt beside her. Your blood. It's part of the blade's code. Her voice was shaky. What does that mean? It means that sword was meant for both of us, one to forge it, one to awaken it. She looked into his eyes, breathing hard. And now it's awake? He nodded. But before he could speak again, the chamber shook violently. Rocks fell, dust filled the air. A voice crackled through a hidden speaker embedded in the stone. This is Commander Ulick of the Neutral Peace Fleet. We have detected your life signs. Do not move. We are entering the tunnels now. Jaren looked up in confusion. Peace Fleet? What are they doing here? Velara whispered. My father called them in. To make it look like you betrayed the duel. He'll claim you cheated. That you lured me here to attack me. And they'll believe him. Jaren said bitterly. No. She stood slowly, eyes glowing now with fury. Not if I speak. Moments later, soldiers in clean white armor poured into the chamber. Their weapons were drawn, but they paused when they saw Velara and Jaren standing side by side. The blade between them glowing like a second sun. Their captain stepped forward. Lady Velara, we were told you were captured. I wasn't. Were you attacked? She stared at them, then at Jaren, then back to the soldiers, and made her choice. No, she said. He saved my life. The soldiers exchanged looks. The captain lowered his weapon. Then, what now? She looked at Jaren and said quietly, Now, we bring the truth back to the stars. The betrayal of the galaxy held its breath. From the ruins beneath Velron's crust, a truth long buried had been uncovered. The blade, the one that had once sealed peace between humans and bloodborne, now glowed again. And standing beside it were two warriors who should have been enemies. But now, they stood together. The peace fleet took them to orbit. The blade was locked in a cryochamber guarded by a dozen soldiers who didn't dare touch it. Even through the thick glass, it pulsed with life. Its hum could still be felt in their bones. Jaren sat quietly in a holding cell, not as a prisoner but as a precaution. Velara sat in the next chamber, being questioned by the Peace Council. Her voice was calm, her eyes were sharp. She told them everything. The truth of the duel, the blast from Karath's ship, the hidden history revealed by the blade, and the visions she shared with Jaren. They are not hallucinations, she said. They are memories, carried in the blade's code, passed through generations. My blood unlocked it, his hands forged it. That weapon is not a threat. It's a warning. The Peace Council was divided. Some believed her, others feared what it meant. If what she said was true, then the bloodborne empire was built on betrayal, and its throne was ruled by a liar. In another part of the ship, Karath appeared via hollow communication. His face was calm, but his voice held steel. My daughter is wounded, he said. The human poisoned her mind. The blade is cursed. It must be destroyed. The council leader raised a hand. Warlord, your daughter told a different story. She's been manipulated, Karath snapped. She is young, idealistic. She does not understand the threat this human poses. And yet, the leader replied, he saved her from your missile. Karath's eyes narrowed. I launched no missile. That was a pirate ship. We have no control over criminals. It was a lie. Everyone in the chamber knew it, but none dared to challenge him openly. Not yet. Back in his holding room, Jaren stared through the glass at the stars. He didn't look worried. He looked tired. A guard walked in and placed a data tablet on the table. You've been cleared for limited movement. The council wants to speak to you again tomorrow. Jaren nodded. And Velara? She's safe. For now. Jaren picked up the tablet. Dozens of messages flashed on screen, some in human languages, some in alien dialects. Rumors were already spreading across the network. The warlord's daughter defends a human. The blade of peace lives again. The old alliance was real. The Empire is lying to us all. He scrolled past them in silence. Then, a warning flashed across the screen. Alert. Karath declares martial lockdown. All Peace Fleet transmissions to be intercepted. All bladesmiths to be hunted and silenced. Jaren leaned back, jaw clenched. It's already started, he whispered. That night, chaos struck. Karath's assassins boarded the Peace Fleet in disguise. Their goal was clear. Kill Jaren, destroy the blade, and capture his daughter, alive. They moved through the corridors silently, using cloaking fields and stolen codes, but Velara sensed them before anyone else. She stepped out of her chamber, spear in hand. The moment the first assassin turned the corner, she struck. Her blade tore through armor like paper. Seal the vault, she yelled to the nearest officer. Protect the blade. Sirens blared, soldiers ran, doors slammed. Jaren, hearing the alarms, rushed into the corridor just in time to face 3 cloaked assassins. He didn't hesitate. He didn't need armor. He had the blade. In one motion, he summoned the sword from its vault. The chamber responded to his touch, and it flew to his hand like lightning. The fight was brutal, but it wasn't close. The blade remembered the style of ancient wars. Every move Jaren made was guided by something more than muscle memory. It was legacy. It was blood. The assassins fell. Velara reached him, blood on her armor, eyes burning. They're not just here to kill, she said. They're here to erase. Jaren nodded. Then we don't hide anymore. Together they moved toward the bridge. The captain of the Peace Fleet tried to stop them. We cannot interfere with galactic leadership. Velara cut him off. Then choose your side, truth or power. She walked past him. The crew watched silently as the daughter of Karath and a human bladesmith entered the main deck. Jaren activated the hollow channel. He linked the transmission. Across the stars, millions of beings saw his face, and hers. This is Jaren, son of Earth, he said. And beside me is Velara, daughter of Karath. She stepped forward. My father tried to kill me. He tried to kill the truth. But the blade revealed what he buried. The alliance between our peoples was real. The betrayal was his. Jaren held up the blade. Its light filled the room. Symbols danced across its surface. And then the projection changed. The blade itself began to speak. In a voice ancient and layered, it repeated the memory. The pact was broken not by humans, but by Karath. The sword bears witness. Galaxies watched, some in silence, some in rage, some in hope. On the blood-borne homeworld, Heiress watched the transmission. He didn't speak. He didn't blink. Then he gave one final order. Ready. The full fleet. If the galaxy will not fear me anymore, then it will burn. The blade's true purpose. Across the stars, systems fell silent. Heiress's face was burned into every screen. His final transmission echoed through every military channel, every trade port, every moon. The human must die. The blade must shatter. All who stand with them are traitors. His fleets were already moving. Thousands of warships tore across space toward Peace Fleet space. Their engines lit up the void like fire. Each one carried destruction, fear, and silence. It would be the largest war in generations, and it would begin on Velron. But Jaren wasn't afraid. He stood at the edge of the Peace Fleet command deck, the blade glowing beside him like a second sun. His face was calm, his jaw set. Behind him stood Velara, no longer a warlord's daughter, but a warrior of truth. They had no army, no fleet, only the blade, and the voice it carried. "It's time," Jaren said quietly. Velara nodded. "Let them come." Down on Velron, a signal beacon had been reactivated, an ancient device buried beneath the old forge. Velara helped Jaren pull it from the sand, connect it to the blade, and send out one final call. It was not a cry for help. It was a summons. Not just to humans, not just to Bloodborne, but to all who still believed in honor, truth, and something older than war. Across the stars, the blade's signal rang out, and those who remembered the old alliance, those who carried its hidden mark, heard it. The first ships arrived from the old Earth colonies. Then came the rogues, exiled captains, forgotten generals, ancient AI who had once fought beside humans during the Pact War. They came not with flags, but with purpose, and they called themselves the Echo Line. The Peace Fleet hesitated, then joined them. Within hours, a second force formed, smaller, outnumbered, but united. Jaren stood at the front, blade in hand, Velara at his side, and as the first of Heiress's dreadships descended upon Velron's atmosphere, Jaren said the words passed down from the blade's memory. "Let history remember that we stood." The first impact shook the sky. Heiress's voice thundered across the battlefield, speaking through every comm. "Give me the blade, and I will spare your world." Jaren answered simply, "Come take it." Then the battle began. Missiles roared overhead, energy cannons shattered mountains. Velara led the ground defense. Her old spear was gone, broken during the attempted assassination. Now she wielded a new weapon, a copy of the blade, forged by Jaren in secret. It wasn't as powerful, but it glowed just the same. A symbol. She led the charge herself, cutting through elite warriors who once served her father. Every soldier who saw her pause. Some refused to fight. The Empire was crumbling from within. Above, Jaren was already on Heiress's ship. He had used the blade's connection to ancient systems to breach the flagship silently, cutting through walls and auto-defense systems like paper. He left no destruction, just silence in his wake. He moved like memory, like something that wasn't supposed to be alive. Heiress waited for him in the throne chamber. The warlord's armor was massive, black obsidian, with energy flowing through its core. A crown of living metal wrapped around his skull. "You shouldn't exist," Heiress growled. "You erased us," Jaren said. "But truth doesn't die. It waits." Heiress roared and charged. The throne room became a storm of fire. Their blades clashed. Heiress's, forged from sunsteel, heavy and brutal. Jaren's blade glowed with quiet purpose, striking cleanly, moving with ancient precision. Heiress had brute power, but Jaren had the blade's will. Every time Heiress struck, the blade parried. Every time he screamed, the blade pulsed, brighter. It fed on lies, and Heiress had told more than any being in the galaxy. "I built an empire, he shouted. You built a prison, Jaren said, and with a final strike he drove the blade into Karath's chest. The armor cracked, the light in his crown went dark, Karath fell to his knees, gasping, and the blade spoke aloud. Justice returned. Then the warlord fell, and it was over. Silence followed. Jaren walked to the throne, but didn't sit. He placed the blade down on the stone and stepped away. When he returned to the surface, the sky was clearing. The dread fleet stopped, firing. Word had spread. Karath was dead, and his daughter had not taken his place. She had forgiven the galaxy. Days passed, then weeks. The Peace Council formally dissolved the Bloodborne Empire. In its place, a new alliance rose, the Pact Reborn. Humans, aliens, outcasts, and truth-seekers stood side by side. Not perfect, not peaceful, but honest. The blade was no longer a weapon. It was placed in the ruins beneath Velron, in a chamber of memory, where it could rest, until it was needed again. Velara stood beside Jaren, looking up at the stars. We could have ruled, she said softly. I didn't want a throne, he replied. I wanted peace. She smiled. You never stopped being a smith. He looked down at his hands. I never wanted to be anything else. She placed her hand on his. Then let's build something. Together.